Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We read the verses 4 and 5. Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu Khammano buddhirevacha Ahankara iti yamme Bhinna prakritirashtadha Apareyamitastvanyam Prakritim vidhi me param Jiva bhutam mahabaho Yayedam dharyate jagata. You said earlier, Lord Krishna describes here his twofold Prakriti, meaning that the twofold cause which makes up this universe. One is the inferior Prakriti, Apara Prakriti, the inferior cause you may say, and superior Prakriti, superior cause, Para Prakriti. What makes one inferior to the other? Or more, what makes the other superior to this one? The Para Prakriti, the inferior Prakriti, the inferior cause you may say, is the five elements, Bhumihi, Apaha, Anaraha, Vayu, Kham, which as we say, makes up this gross body, the gross tangible universe, and Manaha, Buddhi, Ahankara, this subtle body. So looking at our own selves, this aggregate of the gross and the subtle bodies, gross body also is called Karya, and the subtle body is called Karanam, so Karya Karana Sanghata. This aggregate of the Karya, the effect, Karanam, the means, the gross and subtle bodies, Lord Krishna says, is my Apara Prakriti, the inferior cause. What makes it inferior? Because it is insentient. Even though we think that this body is sentient, but by nature this body is insentient, the gross body as well as subtle body. Insentient or lifeless, you can say. The life or sentiency is imparted by the self of the consciousness. So even though this body is felt to be sentient, the sentiency to this gross body is imparted by the subtle body which is present within. So Vedanta thus explains our personality, that our personality consists of not only the gross body, the tangible, the perceptible body, there is also the subtle or imperceptible body within that. For science it may be a matter of belief, but it makes sense that there has to be something over and above this gross body, because of which, presence of which, the body has life, body has sentiency, and by departure of which, the body becomes lifeless. So when the death takes place, we find that this gross body is essentially intact. Then it may degenerate, but otherwise, as the death takes place, the body looks the same, except it is lifeless. Now, the way Vedanta explains is that there was something here in this body which was what was responsible for making this body sentient or possessed of life. And that is called the subtle body. Gross and subtle. Gross is that which is perceptible to the sense organs. And this body is perceptible. It can be seen, it can be heard, it can be tasted, it can be touched, it can be smelled. And within this body is the gross or subtle body, imperceptible. Now, perhaps science, medical science also may not accept this subtle body thing, because you can't prove it. You cannot prove in a laboratory the presence of something called subtle body. And we respect that. However, based on whatever scriptures reveal, that there is a subtle body which itself also is one of 5 subtle elements. Even subtle body also is insentient by nature, and the sentiency to the subtle body is imparted by the self or the consciousness. In presence of consciousness, the subtle body becomes enlivened, and in presence of subtle body, this gross body becomes enlivened. This is how Vedanta explains us. And therefore, the way Vedanta explains death is departure of the subtle body from the gross body. Subtle body also is called jiva, sometimes called soul, which is what transmigrates from one gross body to the other. The reason why I am taking time to describe this is because Lord Krishna talks about twofold Prakriti. Apara Prakriti and the Para Prakriti. The inferior and the superior. So verse number 5 describes the Apara Prakriti, inferior Prakriti, the insentient aspect of our personality, the gross body. And then the 5th verse says, Apareyamitastvanyam viddhi prakriti me param. So apareyam, that part goes with the 4th verse. Aparey means apara yam. Yam means this. Which this? The prakriti or the nature described in the 4th verse is apara, is inferior. Itastvanyam. Itahatu, other than this. Anyam, quite different from that. So quite different from the inferior prakriti, the inferior cause, the gross body and the subtle body also, is para prakriti, the superior prakriti. What is the description? Jiva bhutam is the nature of jiva, is of the nature of the conscious being. So Lord Krishna says that this personality is made up of a conscious and unconscious aspect. The unconscious aspect consists of the gross and subtle body, because subtle body also is made of 5 subtle elements and therefore is also unconscious by nature. And there is a conscious principle here, Jiva Bhutam, called Jiva, meaning the conscious being. So Lord Krishna says that this is my Prakriti, I manifest as this outer upadhi, the costume of the gross and subtle bodies, and then I further manifest as the very life in this, as the very consciousness in this, so conscious being also I am. So Lord Krishna says that I manifest here as Jivatma, as a conscious being, Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho, he Mahabaho, O mighty armed one, Prakritim Vidhi me para, may you know my para Prakriti, may you know my superior Prakriti, superior nature, superior manifestation. An inferior manifestation is superior manifestation. An insentient manifestation is sentient manifestation. So this is made up of the sentient and insentient jiva, or the consciousness, and this matter vesture, which is the locus of manifestation of consciousness. So this body, which is gross and subtle body, made of the 5 elements, gross and subtle, it possesses life. That is because Lord Krishna says, I myself manifest here as the very consciousness or conscious being, Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho. Yaya idam dharyate jagat, yaya idam jagat dharyate. Yaya, by which idam jagat dharyate, this whole universe is upheld, sustained. So what sustains this body is that conscious principle which is here. So that conscious principle called Jiva, Jiva Pranadharane, that's what in fact sustains or upholds the prana of the life. So there are 2 principles, conscious principle and unconscious principle. The gross and subtle bodies are the unconscious, and the consciousness or life manifested is the conscious principle called the superior Prakriti. This is a very unique way of describing. This is in the 13th chapter, Lord Krishna will use the word Kshetra and Kshetrajna, which is not quite the same though, but still. Say Kshetra, Kshetrajna, the Kshetra, the body, mind, sense complex, Kshetrajna, the self manifesting in that. So important thing is that Lord Krishna manifests, or the Lord manifests as the very self, Jiva, the very self in this body, as a very conscious principle. Meaning that this personality, the individual personality or name and form, consists of the unconscious gross and subtle bodies and the conscious principle where the consciousness is manifest here to enliven this whole upadhi of gross and subtle bodies. Yaya idam jagat dharyate. This jagat of names and forms, insentient, is held, sustained, upheld by the conscious principle. To explain this, Upanishad tells us like a story tat srishtva tadevanupravishata. In the creation process, the Lord created this body, mind, sense complex first. Different Upanishads describe this thing in somewhat different ways. The story is being told somewhat in different ways. But this story is told in more than one place in the Upanishads. Sarvani rupani vichitya dhiraha namani kriptva abhivadanyadaste in Purusha Suktam. Tadaikshata Chandogya Upanishad, etc. Bahusyam prajaya, may I become many, may I take birth? And then Chandogya says, Anena jivena atma anupravishya nam rupe vyakarvani iti. It's a story. That as though Ishvara or that principle of Sat or Brahman first created this upadhi made up of these 5 elements. So now the infrastructure is ready. The body is ready, sense organs are there, mind is there, intellect is there, whole infrastructure is ready. Then in Aitareya Upanishad, question is asked, what use is this if I am not there? The organs of perceptions are there, they will perceive for whom? Organs of actions are there, they will perform action for whom? The mind is there, mind will think for whom? Because all of these, they don't do things for themselves. Ears don't hear for themselves, ears hear, bring the sounds and knowledge of sounds for someone. Eyes bring the knowledge of the colors and forms for someone. So all the organs of perception, all the organs of action, they perform their respective functions not for themselves. Sarve deva parimāvanti, as though they all bring gifts of various perceptions and various actions for someone other than themselves. And that is the self. The Lord Krishna, Lord says, I am present as the very self in all these beings. The 13th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Idam shariram kauntya kshetramitya vidhiyate. Hey kauntya, this gross and subtle body is called kshetram. Etadyo vetya, the one who knows, the knower is called kshetrajna. So kshetra and kshetrajna. Kshetra, the insentient principle. Kshetrajna, the knower, the sentient, conscious principle. In short, Lord Krishna says that this is a union of 2 entities, matter and spirit, if you want to use those words. Matter, these 5 elements, etc., gross and subtle, and spirit or consciousness manifesting. That is what enlivens this matter. So it is not that consciousness is the nature of the body, which is what is generally thought to be, that the body possesses consciousness and when something happens to the body, there is no more consciousness, so the body dies. But here it says that consciousness is an independent principle, which as though blesses this body, and as long as that blessing is there, so long the body is alive. When that blessing is withdrawn, then the body is no more alive. But as it is right now, when I am alive, then there are 2 principles, apara prakriti, para prakriti, inferior aspect, then conscious aspect, and the conscious aspect. So this is how yajedam dharide jagat. It is a conscious principle that upholds the all names and forms, the insentient or the body-mind vesture. So you can say this is like a costume The apara prakriti is like a costume, and para prakriti is the one that is manifest through this costume. Important thing is there are two principles functioning here. Not just one, as science would think that consciousness is the property of this body. And something happens to this body, so it's no more conscious. So no, consciousness is an independent principle, and it is the principle. Ultimately we will be told that all there is consciousness. Even what appears to be insensate unconscious also is nothing but manifestation of consciousness. So Lord Krishna here says that I become manifest in these two ways, apara prakriti and para prakriti, the inferior manifestation, the material manifestation, which is required for the superior, the consciousness to manifest. Meaning that for manifestation, consciousness does require a vehicle. Therefore, the gross and subtle bodies, the body-mind-sense complex becomes a vehicle, a costume for the manifestation of the conscious principle, manifestation of Ishvara. Lord Krishna says, I am the way Jivatma, the way self, which manifests through this body-mind-sense complex. And this is what sustains this one. And thus, this conscious principle sustains this name and form and every other name and form. So first of all, we are here told how this personality has two principles called apara prakriti and para prakriti. What is visible, perceptible is apara prakriti, the inferior, the insentient, the matter part. And what may not be is not visible, not perceptible. And what is known only through the scriptures is the para prakriti, the conscious part. Yedam dharite jagat, by which this whole universe is held together. Meaning that in what appears to be all this diversity, like unconnected entities, all of them are connected, which will be further also explained by this conscious principle. It connects, upholds, sustains this whole diversity of apara prakriti, the inferior, the matter is diverse. So there is variety and diversity and disparity in matter, the apara prakriti. It's all sustained by the para prakriti, by the conscious principle. So essentially, conscious principle is one, and the unconscious aspect appears as many, diverse, divided. Meaning that diversity, division, etc. is all at the outer level. Yayedam dharite jagat. Idam jagat, this universe of names and forms, of diversity, division, disparity. Dharite is sustained by this conscious principle. Now this we need to be told because there is no way that you can infer consciousness, you can arrive at this thing. And there is no scientific way of arriving at this, because science has its own way. And so we have to depend upon the scripture to understand this. And now, continuing this discussion in the 6th verse, Lord Krishna says, Etad yonini bhutani sarvani tyupadharaya aham kritsnasya jagatah prabhava pralayasthatha. Etadyonini bhutani sarvani iti upadharaya. Upadharaya, hey Arjuna, may you understand this. May you understand this. Sarvani bhutani, all the beings are etadyonini. Etadyonini is dual of the word etadyoni. Etadyoni is samas or compound word made of etat and yoni. Etat stands for ete. These two prakritis that etat is a pronoun. This. Now pronoun must have a noun which must have been mentioned earlier. Therefore, the verses 4 and 5 mention these two prakritis, apara prakriti and para prakriti. Etat means these two are the yoni, the very cause, the very source of sarvani bhutani, all the beings that, hey Arjuna, you experience in the universe, have their cause in these two prakritis, apara prakriti and para prakriti. It's very easy to see in us, in all living beings, very easy to see that all the living beings have a corresponding gross body. You classify it as human beings, animals, plants, trees. All living beings have an outer gross body. And all these living beings have also that conscious principle which is what imparts that entity the sentiency, the life, the consciousness. Sarvani bhutani, all the beings, and Arjuna understand, have these two, the apara and para prakriti, the matter and the conscious principle, as their root, as their source, as their cause. Meaning that whatever exists has these two as, they are all made up of these two, the apara prakriti, para prakriti. What we perceive and experience is the outer vesture, the apara prakriti, the inferior, the insentient. And what upholds that insentient is the conscious principle. But Swami, this body is a sentient body, no? By itself, the body is insentient. And that's what we discover when there is death, that time the body has no life, becomes lifeless. There is something that imparts life we already described. And thus, all the living beings are a union of the unconscious and the conscious, apara prakriti, para prakriti. You can call it matter and spirit in other words. But Swami, that's all that for living beings. But Lord, sarvani bhutani, all the beings, about pots and pans also. So these twofold prakriti, twofold manifestations of the Lord, twofold manifestations, the matter and the spirit, unconscious and conscious, insentient and sentient. But Swami, this part, does this also have these twofold manifestations of Ishvara, inferior and superior? Lord Krishna said, Etad yonini bhutani sarvani bhutani etad yonini upadharaya. Here Arjuna, we understand that all the bhutas, all the names and forms have these two prakritis as their very source. Everything is the union of these two prakritis, apara and para. So that we understand with reference to this sentient being, that yes, I am, you can say, a union of the matter and spirit. But how about this part? So, yaya idam jagat dharyate, that by which this universe is sustained, upheld. So then, even coming to this part, we also analyze, as we have done number of times in the past, The pot also has 5 aspects in it. Asti, bhati, priyam, rupam, nama, chetyam, sapanchakam. That pot has a name pot, a form corresponding to that name. So these are the evident aspects, name and form. But then the pot also possesses, that pot possesses isness. How do you say? Shines because it becomes the object of awareness, possesses, the manifestation. Asti, bhati. And third is priyam. The pot also is a potential source of happiness. Everything in the universe has the potential of becoming a source of happiness for us to enjoy that entity, anything. It is not that the pot is not, what is there in the pot is Swamiji, I don't enjoy it. But you can enjoy this pot provided you have the right frame of mind. So that the pot doesn't require a frame of mind, it's something evident. That the pot shines in my awareness also doesn't require any qualification. But the pot is attractive. Pot is attractiveness. Pot is a source of happiness, not that requires a given frame of mind. Meaning that if my mind is sattvic or pure, then only asti and bhati, but then the priyam, the pot is a beautiful thing. I see beauty in the pot. Meaning that we can see beauty in anything that is manifest, if our mind is ready to appreciate that beauty. And therefore, everything that there is has asti, it is. Bhati, it shines and consciousness. Priyam, it is dear because it is source of happiness. We can say it is the potential source of happiness. It is name and form. Adyatrayam, Brahmarupam, Jagadrupam, Tatodvayam. Adyatrayam, Asti, Bhati, Priyam, Brahmarupam is the nature of Brahma. Jagadrupam, Tatodvayam, the last name and form are Jagat or creation. Meaning that Brahma is present in this entity which has a name and form. Lord Krishna says, I am present here. My Paraprakruti is also present here as Asti, Bhati, Priyam. He is not present as life here, it is true. Because that Paraprakruti or the superior Prakriti of the Lord manifests as life where there is subtle body. Where there is no subtle body, such as in a pot, it is still Paraprakriti is manifest as Asti, Bhati, Priyam. Therefore, this pot which is name and form is held by what? What is that makes this pot possible to be, possible to shine, possible to be a source of happiness? The Asti, Bhati, Priyam. And therefore, Sarvani Bhutani, all the entities, all the names and forms, without exception. As here Arjuna, these two, Aparaprakriti and Paraprakriti, the inferior and the superior, the unconscious and the conscious, the matter and the spirit, except that spirit is manifest as life where there is subtle body, it just manifests as existence where the subtle body is not. But Asti, Bhati, Priyam, Sachit, Ananda, the superior Prakriti is everywhere and sustains a name and form, Yayedam, Dharyate, Jagat. This Adi Rupam, Brahma Rupam, Jagad Rupam, Tatodvyam. The name and form is called Jagat, that's what is created. Asti Bhati is not created, it ever is. Does not undergo any change. Like clay is not created, name and form are created. So also names and forms are created or they are manifest. So wherever any object is, wherever name and form is, Lord Krishna says that I is my para prakriti, superior prakriti as asti bhadi Brahma is very much present. Etadyoni. So this is an explanation of the Ishavasam, idam sarvam, yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Whatever there is in this universe, there is changing name and form, recognize that Ishavasyam, Ishvara, Asti Bhadi Priyam, Satchidananda is present in everything. That's what imparts existence to everything. That's what imparts manifestation to everything. That's what imparts the usefulness to everything. So this is how Lord Krishna described his two prakritis. These two prakritis make up the whole universe. These two prakritis, the apara prakriti and para prakriti, between the two are the cause of the universe. The second line of the sixth verse is Aham Krushnasya Jagatah Prabhavah Pralayasthatha. Aham, I, Param Brahma, Paramatma. I am the Jagata Prabhavaha, I am the origin of the universe. Pralayaha, the very locus of merger, meaning that the whole universe emerges from me. Tatha means sustained by me and merges back into me. Like the famous statement of the Upanishad, Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivante, yat prayanti abhisamvishanti. Understand that this is how Jnanam is described here. So this discussion is a little technical or complex, but this is a very important discussion, a very important one. I'm sure you know all of this, but still. Lord Krishna begins from there to describe the rest of the things. How the whole universe is held by that, how the whole universe is, he is manifest in all the universe. Lord Krishna will teach us how to recognize him everywhere. Yaya idam jagat dharyate, that by which the whole universe is upheld, how that Lord Krishna will explain to us. How to see him. But here, aham krusnesya jagataha prabhavaha pralayasthatha. Because of these two prakriti, I am the prabhavaha, I am the very source of the universe, I am the one who sustains the universe, I am the one in which the universe merges back. Now, something very interesting or very important to make note here. The Lord Krishna says, I am the source of the universe through these two prakriti, twofold prakriti. Being the source, being the cause, being the origin, being sustenance, being dissolution, they all belong to prakriti level. The level of the apara prakriti and para prakriti, at the level of prakriti, level of this cause, the creation, sustenance, dissolution belongs. I, the consciousness, ekameva, one without a second, is ever the same. I become the very platform upon which this play of the creation, sustenance, dissolution goes on because of my prakriti. The 9th chapter, Lord Krishna will say, Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sachacharam. My Prakriti, my nature, my Maya creates, sustains, dissolves in my presence. So Lord Krishna, I as ultimate Lord, I don't do anything. It is this twofold Prakriti of mine that creates, sustains and dissolves. I am the very adhishthanam, the platform, the substratum, upon which this play of the creation, sustenance, dissolution takes place. As one of our teachers used to explain, in a classroom, the history teacher comes, he wipes the blackboard clean and then draws all kinds of lineage, this king and that son, and the whole historical lineage is described on the board. Then that class, the geography teacher comes, he wipes out everything and fills up the whole board with all kinds of places and division, the rivers and mountains and so forth and so on. Then comes the algebra teacher, he wipes out there and raises all kinds of algebraic equations. Then comes another teacher, sociology, he wipes that out and writes. So this is how blackboard becomes a very platform for all kinds of creations to come and go. So Lord Krishna says, I am like that blackboard. You can say like the screen, like a movie screen upon which all this play goes on. I am like that. The changeless principle upon which this play of the creation, sustenance, dissolution goes on. And that play is played by my Prakriti, the twofold Prakriti. So at what level there is creation, sustenance, dissolution? At the level of Prakriti. The Apara Prakriti, Para Prakriti. Inferior, superior. The matter and spirit. That's where the creation, sustenance, dissolution is. When all of this is going on, that very substratum, the very platform ever remains changeless. And therefore, Lord Krishna, I don't myself create anything. In my presence, my twofold Prakriti creates, sustains and dissolves. And therefore, in a primary sense, is Prakriti that creates, sustains and dissolves. In a secondary sense, I am called the creator, sustainer, dissolver. Meaning the Paramatma, Param Brahma, the absolute reality, is the platform upon which this twofold Prakriti carries out this play of creation, sustenance, dissolution. But since Prakriti cannot exist, cannot shine without me, therefore, in a secondary sense, you can say that I am the cause, I am the source, I am the sustenance, I am the place of dissolution. Aham krusnisya jagatah prabhavah pralayasthatha. Therefore, because of my Prakriti, which carry out these functions of creation, sustenance, dissolution in my presence, I am also called in a secondary sense a creator, sustainer, dissolver. So, two kinds of causes are described. Apara Prakriti, which is matter, Para Prakriti, the consciousness, Apara Prakriti, material cause, Para Prakriti, nimitta karam, the efficient cause. So this is the union of the material cause and efficient cause. So Lord Krishna's Apara Prakriti is material cause, the Para Prakriti is efficient cause. He himself is beyond this causality. So Lord Krishna says, my unconscious manifestation can be called the material cause, and my conscious manifestation can be called the efficient cause. Because material cause always is inert, efficient cause is always sentient. Material cause like clay is inert, efficient cause like the pot maker is sentient. So these two principles are there, the apara prakriti, material cause, efficient cause. Lord says, ultimately I am not the cause. Meaning even causality also is not there in Brahman. The causality is there in this prakriti, in the matter. I even transcend the idea of cause. So this is how Vedanta explains this universe, the reality. And why do I make it a point to say all of this? Is because what we experience is only the apara and para prakriti. That because of which we experience is Ishvara, of course, is Brahman. That which manifests as apara prakriti, this is what we can experience. As Lord Krishna said, the whole universe, all the entities are all the union of the apara and para prakriti. Dhamma prakriti. I am the one that is beyond them, transcends them. So what we experience is only prakriti. But that because of which the experience is that Paramatma. So here Lord Krishna is talking as the very Paramatma. That these are two my prakritis. I am the Paramatma, and because of the prakriti, I am called the cause of the universe. I am the origin, I am the sustenance, I am the merger, you can say. But in primary sense, my prakriti is the cause, my prakriti is sustenance, my prakriti is the merger. And since that cannot take place without me, therefore I am called as the creator, sustenance, dissolver. So, by this, what is Lord Krishna described? All there is I, isn't it? The inferior, the material cause also is I. The nimitta karanam, the efficient cause also is I. In my ultimate nature, I transcend both of them. Therefore, in the 7th verse, now Lord Krishna says, Mattah parataram nanyata kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. He Dhananjaya, he Arjuna, mattaha parataram anyat kinchit nasti. Mattaha, 5th case, from me or other than me. Parataram is not there, there is nothing other than me. Na anyat kinchit, there is nothing other than me. Parataram, tarataram, nothing superior to me. Nothing other than me, nothing inferior to me. Lord Krishna says, all there is me. All there is I. Now this is said in response to a general question to the Lord. Usually there is a twofold cause for the creation. The material cause and the efficient cause. So maybe you are the conscious principle, so you are the efficient cause. So there must be a material cause other than you, because that is the usual model. Lord Krishna says, I am the efficient cause, there is no cause other than me. Meaning that I am the efficient cause, the creator, the maker, the material cause, the material. In the words of Puja Swamiji, I am the maker and the material. Maker, the efficient cause. Material, the material cause. So I am both the maker as well as material, and therefore there is nothing other than me in this universe. This is an extremely important statement. This is basically teaching of Vedanta. All there is the Ishvara. Ishavasam idam sarvam. All Upanishads say this in one way or the other. And so, Brahma eva adhastat, purastat, that's that Brahma uttaratah, dakshinatah, that's that Brahman alone is in front and the back, on the right and left, above, below. Mundukopanishad says. Chandogya says, what is his self? Atma alone is in the front, Atma is alone in the back, Atma is above, Atma is below, Atma is everywhere, all there is Atma. Somewhere all there is Brahman, elsewhere all there is Atma, all there is Aham, all there is Bhuma, all there is limitless. In various ways this truth is expressed in the Upanishads, which Lord Krishna expresses in these words, Mattah partaram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya, there is nothing other than me, nothing superior to me, nothing inferior to me, nothing other than me. What is only I. You can keep on questioning this. But this is what Lord Krishna says. Now it is for us to understand. Because it looks like our experiences don't seem to reveal this. It looks like our experiences reveal that there are many. There are many Atmas. How do you say Swami is the one without a second? There are as many conscious beings, as many bodies are there, as many upadhis are there. Looks like there are as many Atmas, as many embodiments. Every embodiment seems to have its own Atma. So there are as many Atmas, as many embodiments are. So it looks like to us. And that's the reason why I treat that embodiment as different from this one, that Atma is different from this Atma, and that is called the Bheda or the duality. And the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Brahmatam Paradat, Yaha Atmananjat Brahma Veda. Brahma stands for, let's say, Brahmana defeats me. It rejects me when I look upon that one as different from myself. Sarvanam, whatever I look upon as different from me, rejects me. I mean, looking upon someone different from me is as good as rejecting. I reject and I get rejected. So this is our life right now. I exclude, I feel excluded. So Brihadaranyaka Upanishad begins with the observation that one who excludes others gets excluded by that. Because idam sarvam yadayama atma, what all is the Atma, what all is this Ishvara, what all is some Atma, what all is this Brahman. So this is what basically what Vedanta wants to reveal is one non-duality. Why is it said? Because we think that we experience duality. We have concluded that I am experiencing manyness, I am experiencing a duality, I am experiencing Dvaitam. And based on that conclusion of mine, the Upanishad or Bhagavad Gita says, you are not experiencing many, all you are experiencing is one. But Swamiji, he is different and I am different. What do you mean he is different and I am different? Or she is different, I am different? What is she? Oh, I see that self is there and this self. But what you see is not the self. What you see is only those prakrutis. That is the assembly of para and apara prakriti. So this one, every being, as we say, etad yoni bhutani. All the bhutas, all insentient beings are union of the prakriti, inferior and superior. So yes, that is where the diversity is. But we are stretching that diversity to diversity of Atma. That I is different and you are different. No, we have no way of establishing that. We have taken that for granted. There is diversity somewhere, duality somewhere, division somewhere, variety somewhere. It's there in this Prakriti. So that is called creation, where one manifests as many, where the non-dual manifests as duality, when the undivided appears as though divided. That's called creation. And that is like a mystery that is presented to us, and the Upanishad says how to solve that mystery. So you are taken things for granted, you are drawing conclusions based on just your whims. You have not subjected your conclusions to the scrutiny of reasoning or scrutiny of what the Upanishad Vedanta says. No, my mind says there is duality. Vedanta says non-duality. So who is right? Well, see whether you are right or Vedanta. What Vedanta says is right. So Vedanta invites us to question our conclusions. Taking what Vedanta teaches as one non-dual as the basis, rather than questioning how can there be non-duality when experience duality. The right way is, how can there be duality when in fact there is non-duality? How do I justify my conclusion that you are different and I am different? Sure, that body is different and this body is different, no doubt. But you, the Atma, is different and this Atma is different. On what basis do I say that? That manyness existing in the costume is superimposed upon the very actor, and then I conclude Atmas are many, for which I have no ground. Because I cannot objectify self, I cannot objectify consciousness. When I say you, I am using that only for that, these two prakritis, the para and para prakriti, not the Atma, not the consciousness. So therefore it is so important to say that all there is I. What diversity we see, what duality we perceive, is at a certain level, which is superficial level, like one water appearing as many waves, one gold appearing as many ornaments, so also one self or conscious appearing as many names and forms. But then what we perceive is at an apparent level. At the fundamental level, all there is one non-dual. So this is what this verse, this is very important. Mattah partaram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya, there is nothing other than me, different from me, inferior to me, superior to me. All there is I. Lord Krishna uses the word I for this paramarthik satyam, absolute reality, which is the very substratum, the platform upon which display of the creation, sustenance, dissolution goes on. When you appreciate that oneness, this many becomes beautiful. We can enjoy the many provided we are aware of the one non-dual. Then many becomes immaterial. Doesn't matter what it is. What is beautiful then. As long as that one non-dual truth is in mind, then duality is of no consequence. Therefore, duality is beautiful as it is, then you enjoy. So mithya does not mean you cannot enjoy. Mithya just only reveals what the reality is. And thus here Lord Krishna reveals, unfolds in fact, how there is one non-dual in spite of appearing duality. And Lord Krishna explains here what duality is made up of, the Paraprakriti, and in spite of all these diversity there, how the basic principle is one, non-dual, changeless. We'll continue in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.